What's up, One Piece fans? Sorry for the lateness of this review, but in short order, you guys are going to get this video and the chapter review for 1118. You guys already know at this point what's going on for me this year. 2024 is not my year, so that basically sums up the reason for the lateness of the review. But without further ado, let's just get underway with chapter 1117, and let's talk about it. So we'll go over this one panel by panel, page by page. But I don't think it'll take very long because everyone's already said their deal on this, right? Supposedly, on Hachinosu, on the Pirate Island Paradise of all places, Gin is back. Gin is back, and Pearl's there in the background, and a lot of people have summarized that the guy right behind Gin is Don Krieg. And most people have accepted this as pretty much fact, and a lot of people have gone under, like, how did they get there from A to B? We thought they were all poisoned, gonna die, all these things. How did they survive the poisoning? Was it as lethal as they said? Is this just Oda not willing to kill off a single character, even off screen? He's not willing to kill characters off anymore. Once again, I know some people are happy about this, that he's back and stuff like that, but I'm gonna be in that third camp, in that later camp, where it's like, okay, it's cool to see these characters again, but like Pound and everybody else, it's like, Oda, you kind of have to keep characters dead. Like, for all intents and purposes, the poison should have killed these characters. The fact that they're alive with no explanation, and we've assumed them dead for literal decades at this point, you know, for long-time readers. And just to bring them back for a quick cameo, to me, is sort of like, it doesn't bother me necessarily, because once again, I got nothing against the characters or anything like that, but it's another instance of Oda. Keep characters dead. Stop the fake out deaths and let characters die. Seriously. Like, it's just... That's the one gripe that I have. Other than that, seeing them back and seeing, you know, the internet sort of lose their minds over it was fun. Was entertaining. I just think that it's just it's a Pound situation all over again, right? So, annoying in that regard. But, anyways, so, in that panel, like, everyone's just freaking out, like, what's he saying? There's buried treasure on the sea floor, like, that, you know, they're talking about the city of gold, like El Dorado, like, there's this whole civilization that's 200 meters down. How would you get there? You know, the ships that go underwater, or you be friends with a mermaid or something like that. Like, this is craziness. And then we actually go back to the Grand Line and we see some old pals from the Skype here, from the Jaya arc, chilling there, saying, you know, you boys ready for another dive? Who's you know what I mean? So that was kind of cool, you know what I mean, like seeing them again and stuff. Once again, we've been jumping all over, seeing a lot of cameos of most of the characters in these past few chapters, and that's fine. Then we end up at the Navy G5 General Hospital, and it's where Kobe has now been recovered, is still recovering and stuff, so we're there in this bay, and all the members who went with Garp to Hachinosu and stuff like that are here, and they're sort of discussing things like, you alright, Kobe? Are we saying about the One Piece? You know, this is a lot to take in, like, what's going on? Kobe basically sits back, and he's heavily injured, and he's just like, I feel like I'm going to pass out, I need to jot all this down later, my mind can't keep up, like, this is crazy, this is blowing my mind. So, and people are like, okay, well, the captain's recovering well, but he wants to be left alone, referring to that X-Drake is alive and well and has been recovered as the member of Sword. So now he's officially a Marine again, I guess. Maybe, maybe not, as Aokiji sort of explained how the commission works with being a member of Sword, etc. So, but X-Drake is recovering in a Navy hospital. So, anyway, so they go on this sort of line and basically said, yeah, we're in a danger, we're reaching like the end of the wire, a lot of things are coming to a head and stuff like that, right? So it's like, it's time for us to step up as well. So they're not sitting down crying over their loss of, you know, we failed Vice Admiral Garp, we failed the hero, we did this, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. They're not moping around, they're like, alright, we're going to have to step up. We need to step up, and that's good for this generation, because this is the new generation of Marines all basically in one room. This is the new generation, and they're like, we have to be the next generation, and they're all in agreement on that, right? We even actually get to see Smoker. Smoker is actually there, driving around on his crazy motorcycle and stuff. Once again, getting a little bit, I really do think that Smoker was done quite a bit dirty after the time skip, and hopefully he has been in intense, crazy training or something like that, because seeing him again is pretty cool, but once again, he's fallen so far behind the power scaling that Smoker showing up won't do, other than seeing him in Toshigi is cool, but from a power scaling perspective, the universe has gone too far. Like, the arcs have basically made them redundant unless we get them knowing that they've done a crazy intense training since their losses, right? Like Punk Hazard and stuff like that, right? So Vegapunk continues his stuff, there's information in bits and stuff, and I'm going to speculate some stuff, and they're like, well, what did Roger leave behind? Blah, blah, blah. We jump back over to Nami and everyone, they're like, okay, we got to escape this place. We've got to escape Usopp, Chopper, they're all on the sun. Like, look, it's ready to go. It's time to land. It looks like there's a whole bunch of enemy ships right where we're going to land. Like, this is crazy. Brooke and Nami, everyone's contacting, Jinbei, Zoro, where are you guys? We have to go. Let's get out of here, right? But then we see we're on the heels of a mysterious monster, and once again, it's Samurai Gandhi himself with the Gorosei, the undead horse, and he's going forward, and he's like, holy crap, you're going on a detour, and there's no, he's going to stop the Straw Hats from leaving and stuff, so he goes forth. He's massive in this form. Not that we didn't know this, but he, just size comparison, I think this is one of the best instances we've seen of how large he is as compared to the other ones, because he sort of stayed in this humanoid, half-hybrid form, and it obviously doesn't shrink that much because he's still towering, the size of the Sunny, right? So he goes forth. They're all freaking out, of course. The eyeballs, the Bugs Bunny look and stuff like that, and he's ready to go forth. This is when Jinbei uses Fishman Karate and throws, he's basically baseball styling, Zoro ends up two swords, alright Jinbei, do your stuff, and he's two sword. Once again, Zoro, why aren't you going all out against a Gorosei? I will never understand. It's no different than, it's the Dragon Ball Z syndrome all over again, honestly, with this stuff, is that it's why are you ever using Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 or any of that shit? Jump straight into your best form once you have it, at this point in the series, you know what I mean? Going into those forms is not going to do anything. It's just going to drag the fight out, right? So, but yeah, so here, Zoro balls himself up. It's two-sword style, even against a Conqueror's Haki user like a Gorosei, a worthy opponent, and Jinbei just throws him like a baseball. It's split-finger fastball time, two-sword style, boom, and he goes forth, and they clash. And you see the black lines of Haki, and so it's two swords versus the one giant sword, which once again, I'm always weirded out by this. So because and I didn't see anybody else bring this up, but I haven't had time to watch a whole lot of reviews. Because the Gorosei gets larger, the sword gets larger. Because we've seen that sword, which obviously now confirmed to be, the Shodai, Kitetsu Blade, because they both notice it, and they're both like, Kitetsu? And they both notice that each of them have a Kitetsu Blade that's clashing right now, obviously, as two swordsmen would recognize that instantaneously, and they both do. The thing is that, why has it grown? Does this mean if Zoro gives Chopper his sword, all of a sudden it'll shrink down to a knife form? Or if he goes into Monster Point and gives him the Kitetsu Blade will grow to the size of Monster Point Chopper and be all good? I'm just wondering, is this a Haki thing? Is this a Kitetsu Blade thing? What is this? Because the sword is the size of what his current size is, but we've seen it. It's the size of a regular katana in every other iteration up until they started transforming. So I am kind of curious about that. That's a thing, apparently. Apparently the swords can grow and shrink. So basically all Zoro needs to do is go, hey Luffy, go into crazy giant Gear 5th form, like the size of next Tuesday, and I'll hand you my Kitetsu blades and my swords, and the Watto will be like this giant ass friggin' sword that he can use or something, right? Like, I don't know. It just threw me for a loop because we've seen characters like Yoru is almost an impractical size for even a guy as tall as Mihawk. It's an impractical size to use. But would Yoru transform? Whitebeard's, Mukagogiri. I forget exactly what the name of that one is, but Whitebeard's halberd there. What would that one, like shrink or change size depending on the user at this point? Like, it's just weird to me. It's very weird because we've not seen this really in any other. We haven't really had the opportunity, but in One Piece, I never thought Yoru would shrink or grow depending on the user, or a devil fruit that has nothing to do with the sword, so interesting for me anyways, at least I think so. But it's not something I saw anybody else bring up. So they of course both clash, they knock each other back because they're badasses. Jinbei catches Zoro's knockback and stuff, and they're like, push on, we'll jump on, like seriously, like get out of here right now. And this is where, the Viking ship is trying to leave. Bonnie's like, okay, we really do gotta go. And we're seeing all the craziness, and Luffy's like, we're almost there, get the ship moving, we're fine, we're emotional, but we're fine. And everything's going down. This is where, as I said, so the giants with their big Viking ships, like the Marines have no chance at this point. They're trying their best, but they have no real chance up against the giants. They are destroying them, they're getting them out of the way. We do see some of the Vice Admirals coming up, however. Putting holes in the ship. Vice Admiral Dahl shows up and uses Rock and Roll Blaster. Clearly she's got the strength. She hockeys up her fist and she's able to go toe-to-toe hand combat with a giant and their strength. It's like, holy crap, like Vice Admiral Dahl is a really good brawler and stuff like this. So either way, Luffy noticed that the boar has stopped chasing them. The girls say that's the boar. And then Dory and Broggy are like, yeah, well, we're just going to hop on the ship anyway. It's like, then we can set sail. I'm not really worried about it. But the other four of them, outside of course, Samurai Gandhi there, the other four have all shown up in this really dark panel, just looming over the Iron Giant as he's trying to, of course, Vegapunk's trying to finish his sentence. It was cut off. I was really hoping that trope wouldn't happen here by the end of the chapter. I was hoping that, like, Vegapunk would actually get his whole message out and they would destroy it too little too late. I was hoping for that because it's so... How many times has the name of the Will of D, the name of the kingdom, been cut off already? And I think it's just because I've watched the anime as well, and we get flashbacks to that constantly. The Will of D, the name of that kingdom, bang, and we always see a Robin flashback. And we always see, so it's just like, okay, what is the Will of D? I'll tell you, Roger, Whitebeard, I'll tell you what it is. We see these scenes, we always get the important detail cut off, and now... It's been a long journey in One Piece, over 1,000 chapters, and we're still doing the same cycle of cutting us off with the last important tidbit. So I was actually, out of all people, I was really annoyed by this. I didn't see too many people super upset by that, but I think it was the most egregious point of this chapter, and it really did take the chapter down for me, because I'm like, again, we can't finally. Vegapunk was actually giving us information. The man, the myth, that I've been complaining about since we've gotten to Egghead. Finally, the dude who's supposed to have all the answers, who's supposed to download a shit ton of information for us, the readers, and we've gotten next to nothing. We were finally getting actual, factual, new information, new lore, new history from the man who was supposed to have all the answers for a decade, and now he gets cut off. He can't even finish what he knew, you know what I mean? So, as I said, to me, I thought that Oda made a big mistake doing this. I really did. Because he said, lastly, I have one final message, and what makes it even more egregious is that whole, yes, well, we'll have to wait for the world to set up their transponder stills. Yeah, 10 minutes. We'll give them 10 minutes. Like, no, get this message out, you goddamn, Vegapunk. I can't stand him as a character whatsoever. But yeah, so he basically says, I have one final message to impart to those scattered around the world. And this is where the Gorosei start noticing, isn't that That's the Iron Giant that attacked Marijwa 200 years ago. I'm certain of it. Yeah, they're all like, holy shit, we know exactly who this is and stuff. So he says, I have one final thing. To those scattered throughout the world who bear the name of D. And then we see Dragon. We see Sabo recognizing Ace and Luffy. And Kobe recognizing Luffy. And even Blackbeard, we see a shot of him. He's listening in. Beppo's listening in like Captain. Because, of course, D Law there. Or D Water Law, sorry. But yeah, Law carries the Will of D and stuff. And we don't get a shot of Garp or anybody like that. But still, we get some of the main members of the D clan that are still alive and listening. They're looking on like, what is this about us? And then boom, of course, giant boar smashed into the Iron Giant, and then and the message is cut off. It cut out to the world. It cut out to us, the reader. Cut out Vivi's like, what was it going to say about the D? D, the signal it's jamming, and Vegapunk, and that was it. And then York's like, oh my god, I'm so relieved. I'm like, you are the worst android. I think I would take the fat clown mime Android 19 from Dragon Ball over your sorry ass York. You are such... Oh, York. So, anyways, we do get that cut off. As I said, me personally, and it's my review, so I guess it is my opinion, I guess. And once again, nobody has to agree with it, but I definitely did hate the fact that this was cut off. And I know it was fully cut off because I've already read chapter 1118, which is sort of, I wasn't doing this consciously, like this video was very late, this review was late, but I was waiting for hope that maybe we, the reader, would get to know what Vegapunk's last sentence there was. No. So, yeah. I'm not super thrilled about that. I think that was a mistake because Oda's been doing that intentionally for 25 years. And at this point, I'm kind of sick of waiting. No offense. No offense, Oda. I love One Piece. You're a great mangaka, all that stuff. But doesn't mean that Oda's infallible. It doesn't mean he doesn't make bad decisions, and I think that this is one of them. But once again, maybe other people don't mind that. Maybe everybody wants to wait to the very end of One Piece to find out all the information. I mean, but I don't think this is going another 25 years either. So we're past the midway point. It's time. We're allowed to have a little bit of information. Like when was the last time? The last time we learned anything major, like super major, in my opinion. I mean, Wano, technically, there was some stuff, but I would argue the last time we learned big, like, history-level lore was Zou. And it's been a long time since Zou. So I'm just saying that maybe we could have had a little bit here more, especially since this arc, not really the greatest arc, and as I've kept saying time and time again, Vegapunk was the man with all the answers. And we got none of them, and now he's dead. So there is that little bit of I guess I'm the only one with the hurt feelings about that. I don't know. Either way, that's it from me, guys. What did you guys think of chapter 1117? I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we'll get on to recording for chapter 1118. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the chapter. The chapter was just okay, but I would give it like a 5, because once again, I'm not like crazy about the fact that the Dawn Creek pirates all seem to be totally fine after all this time, and it's just another example of Oda not willing to keep characters dead. And which has become a bit of a pattern, especially at this point. And then, of course, the end part where we've been doing this time and time again too. It's just it's a recognizing the patterns in their not so positive sense right now. So yeah, I would give the chapter like a 5. I wasn't super thrilled with it. It was average at best, So, but like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back here because I'll be recording chapter 1118. Here shortly, so both videos can get out in a timely fashion. So, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you back here next time.